Hey friends, welcome back. My name is Kandi and today we're going to talk about some canning stuff because canning season is going to be here before you know it. And in my area, I've noticed canning supplies are finally back on the shelves. So I want to talk about some simple things you need to start canning. Canning is one of those fun hobbies, prepper things you can do that does require special equipment for your safety, your food safety, and to make sure you use it properly. So we're going to talk about what all you need to get started. We're going to talk about the basics and how you can start with the most simplest things that you can reuse for other items and how you can kind of upgrade on that. So what is canning? Canning is basically canning food in jars to make it shelf stable. Now the way you can certain things, whether it's like this is applesauce, this is a plum sauce, this is chicken, pickled veggies or jellies, there are certain ways and rules you need to follow to can things properly for all the science that goes behind it food-wise. So we're gonna talk about what you need to can these different types of things. But first off, to can them, you need jars. Now, what's on the market these days, easiest to find, are 4 sizes of jars. You're gonna have your quart jar, which is your biggest one to can in. You will find half-quart jars at Walmart and places like that, but you don't want to can in them, but they're great for storing items. So quart jar, they are 32 ounces. A quart is 2 pints. So quart, 32, and then a pint is 16 ounces. Now then you have a half pint, which then is 8 ounces. So it's a cute little cup, basically. These are what my kids use for cups. And then you have the teeny tiny ones, I call it. And these are, it's basically like a half pint. So these are 4 ounces. You have 4 ounces, 8 ounces, 16 ounces, and 32 ounces. Now the jars also come in 2 mouth sizes. So you have your wide mouth, which you can see is larger, and then you have your regular mouth. Wide mouth is great when you're doing things and you really wanna, you can stick your hand in it very easy. Pints, you can't as easy. So those are the big differences on jars. Now, when you get jars, you can get them. This is the closest thing I have brand new in a box. So they'll come in a box with a lid and a ring. Now, if you're like me and you have a million jars, you have a million rings. So the rings also are wide or regular, and you can get replaceable lids. So you have your regular and you have your wide as well. The lids are a one-time use. Your rings are reusable. Now, you will find people that say you can reuse your lids. I have found ways to reuse my lids, but the general practice is they are a one-time use. There are other companies out there that do make lids that are reusable, but these are what you're gonna find at Walmart, Tractor Supply, and most stores. So everything I'm showing you right now is the Ball brand, but you'll find Ball, Curl, Golden Harvest. They are all great brands. I use them all interchangeably. It's really, I buy what I can find at the store. You put the rings on the jars to can them, and then once they cool completely, you can store them without the rings. So these are just kind of a nifty tool. The one thing I will tell you about the rings is you'll end up with a million of them. A million of them. Because they come on every brand new jar you have, and you really don't need that many rings all together. Okay, so let's now talk pots, because to can, you have to either water bath or pressure can. So water bath or pressure can are your 2 ways to can. Now there is, water bath canning is going to be your easiest way to start canning if you are intimidated by it. To water bath, you can do things like pickled vegetables, jellies, fruit sauces, tomato things, You can do them all by water bath canning. You really want pressure canners for things like meat, plain vegetables, canning soups, things that are not high in or high acidic foods. Let's do that one again. High acidic foods. You want to pressure can. So let's talk how you can start canning on a budget. So at Walmart, you can find, like, this is just a cheap, I think it's like a 12-quart stock pot at Walmart. They also make these fancy, cool little flower doohickey things. Can you see that? Ooh, let me hold it up against the spot because there you can see this flower doohickey thing. What's so cool about it is when it folds up, but, and before I lose my lid, you can stick it in the bottom of a pot like so. There you go. You can set it in the bottom of the pot. So when you can, your jars don't touch the bottom of the pot. That is the biggest thing you have to make sure you don't do, because too much heat with the glass directly on the bottom of the pot, it can break jars and stuff. So you need to lift it off just a little bit. So what's really cool is you can get this thingamabobber. I found it at Walmart and it just happened to fit in a stock pot I bought. So there is one way you can and then, you know, it's just a regular pot. You can use it however you see fit. Or you can get a water bath canner. This, I feel like the graniteware one is like the most iconic one with canning. It's all I've known growing up with my mom canning. So it's just this big pot by Graniteware, and it's got a lid that goes on it. It comes with a rack. Now this rack is made, you can rest it on top. You can load your jars in it, and you can set it down easy into the water without too much splashback, basically. No, it's a safety thing. But this rack also keeps your jars off the bottom of the pot. Now you can use this pot to boil things, cook things down, you know, it's another real big pot, but it's a great basic pot. This pot is about $20, $25, probably less than $30 at your store for this big pot. It's like a 22 quart size water bath canner. Now again, water bath canners are what you want to use for your higher acidic foods. And then we get into pressure canners. So pressure canners are what you use for your non-acidic foods. So your meats, your vegetables, they have to come to pressure. Think of like using an Instapot, it has to come to pressure. Now this doesn't work like an Instapot, but if you're familiar with using an Instapot, it works fairly about the same. Now, they have this little thing called a weight. Depending upon yours, it will rest, it will rock. I'm not gonna lie, these ones are a whole lot louder than water bath canning, and it's gonna take a whole lot longer to can. So you have a lid that inside, you can see the black thing has a seal. It seals on tight to your pot. This is a whole lot heavier duty metal. It also has a rack in here as well. And it is a heavier bottom pot. So sometimes if I'm doing big batches of things that I don't need my pressure canner, I will use this just to cook in them because it's so convenient. Now the one thing you can do with a pressure canner is you can use it like a water bath canner. So you can spend the money on a pressure canner and get multiple uses out of it. So when I use mine like a just a water bath canner, I take out this black seal, it pops off, no problem. It's easy to wash and clean. And then I just use the lid like a normal lid. I just put it on and I follow my water bath canner instructions. What's cool about this is you can use it for multiple things. Now I did buy this one at Walmart and I think I paid $80 for it. There are a ton of pressure canners out there and you want to make sure you're using a pressure canner and not like a pressure cooker. Those are two completely different things. And you will find some Instant Pot type things out there that say it can. Do not believe it. I'm gonna be right there. And the canning gods, do not trust that. Some tools that make canning easier. Let's talk about them. One, you will use this a million times once you start having cans or jars in your kitchen, and this is a funnel. So the funnel is great. It fits inside a jar so you can easily fill things in and not spill it everywhere. They are made specifically for jars because of this mouth. So that mouth will fit on your regular mouth jars. Also, of course, fits the wide mouth jars. It's amazing, you guys. I use my jars for more than just cooking food in and storing food. So it works for a million different things. Now, you can buy like a little set that will get you started in canning. And it usually comes with a funnel, a little measuring thing, and usually one of these magnet things. I haven't bought one in a long time, so I don't know if it has these anymore, but let's talk about them. And, oh, it also comes with a jar lifter. So let me tell you about them. So of course we know the funnel. This magnet guy is awesome because a few years ago, well, I guess it's more than a few years ago, you used to have to preheat your lids. So you would put them in like simmering boiling water, you'd let the seal heat up, and then you would use this to grab the lids out of your pot before you stick it on your jar. And it is magnetic, so it'll hold, it picks up like 2 to 3 lids sometimes at a time. It's a great magnet. But some of our newer lids that have been coming out are these Sure-Tight lids, and you really just need to wash them before you use them. But before you use your lids, read your instructions. I'm just gonna put that out there. Make sure you read your instructions on everything you use. Okay, and then it also comes with one of these. It's a little hard to see, but you can see how it's got these stair steps in it. There's actually little measures on it, because as you follow your recipes, it will say like an inch headspace or half an inch, quarter of an inch. So what you can do is these little stair steppers, you can set on the edge of a jar and you can measure how far down your food is. So you need your food down a certain amount of space to create the proper suction and vacuum, because that's basically what keeps it fresh. Now, one thing about this too is you turn it the other way, you can use it to push down your food and get out all the air bubbles, which is another thing you have to do for canning, because you want to get all the air bubbles out of your food because you want all the air out. That's what's going to keep it fresh. So there is one of these, and then of course the jar lifter. The jar lifter is amazing because you can use it to put things in and out of hot water without putting your hands in, without using one of those little clamper guys. They are specifically made for the jars. They have these rubber grip things. They are so convenient. You want to make sure you have a pair. That's all I'll say. I picked up canning things recently, and I got one of these by Graniteware, and it's a little spatula thing, and it's nice because it does fit in the jars and you can debubble with it as well. This is not necessary, but it's something else I found recently that I really like as well. And then one thing that you really want when you get started canning, this I would say you could get first and really start learning about, is basically this ball canning cookbook. This ball canning book is amazing. It talks you through so much more than what I've just said. This is just grazing the surface on what you need to start canning. Like what equipment, but there is a million recipes. You guys, there are so many recipes, and it will talk about basically everything we just talked about here, and it will explain more in depth pressure canning and stuff like that here in the back. There is a huge index full of recipes, so many amazing things that are in this ball book. There is also the ball book guide to preserving. This one you will find at Walmart. At least in my area, I find this one at Walmart the easiest, and this one at Tractor Supply the easiest. Those are my two stores that I find canning items in my area. This one is very similar to the ball complete guide. It just doesn't have as many pictures, I will be honest. The recipes are also printed a whole lot smaller. So there is that, but it has a lot of the same resources. So I have both because I do use both. A lot of the same recipes are in both books because they are both by Ball, but sometimes I use one for one thing and one for the other. So there is just a quick rundown of what you need to get started canning. Now this is not a how-to to can. We'll work on those as we get going throughout the year because canning season for me starts May, June. For some people, it starts closer to like July and August. But since I do live down on the Gulf Coast, our season starts a little earlier than others. So pretty soon I will be starting to can again, and it will all be something I talk about a lot going forward because I can a good amount of our food. It's just what I do. Now, if you've been watching and you want to find links to these things I've talked about, I will link as much as I can, or at least I will link to something similar, and I'll link to all of it. Now, 99% of everything I showed you can find at Walmart. My Walmarts are really the best resource for where I can find canning items. But I will also link some things on like Amazon and stuff like that if it works better for you. And I will also link my super fun witty canning shirt. It says, grab your balls, it's canning season. It's just, I mean, once you get into canning, you'll find you do a whole lot of things with jars. So you gotta have some fun puns every so often. So I hope this video was helpful for you. This was just an intro, and if you have any questions about canning, how you can get started, if something is the right item, feel free to leave a comment below and I will do my best to help you out. Thank you guys for joining me today. Have a good one. Bye.